Hi, I'm Kathleen, a 3L law student, teacher, and LSAT tutor. I help students, especially those who learn differently, to break down the LSAT into clear, teachable strategies. In today's video, we're going to discuss reading comprehension, the number one strategy that saves time, which is mapping. Let's dive in. So, reading comprehension, the number one strategy to help you save time. Do you love the little pig with the time in the piggy bank? Anyways, most LSAT students lose time in reading comp by reading too much, too slowly, or without direction. Let's fix that. So first, let's understand where that comes from. In your undergrad, a lot of your reading was about being able to come up with your own concept out of it. So you might read two comparative, sections, novels, whatever it would be, and then come up with your own thought. They really wanted you to develop a sense of kind of taking the information and synthesizing it and having an opinion. The LSAT is different than that. That's not what the LSAT is looking for you to do. And I will also say, moving on into law school, that is not what law school is looking for you to do. When you're reading through case studies, they're looking you to look at cases and assess the application of the facts and the application of the laws. It's a similar tool or strategy that the LSAT is reviewing. It's not based on IQ or intelligence, and it's not based on you creating your own concept or theory from it. So this is not something where you get to show how brilliant you are because you took two passages and linked them together. Forget that. All of that you learned in your undergrad, let it go. This is altogether different. So I hope that makes some sense. And as we go through mapping it out, you're going to see this is like just about what's in front of you and interpreting it or turning it into what the LSAT is looking to assess you for. So next slide. What's the problem? The problem is, just like I said, we get reading every word equally, we get lost in details, and we run out of time before for the last passage. So basically, in reading comp, you've got this passage. Sometimes they're comparative, so there might be two. And you're reading through it and looking for, I'm going to teach you that there's some key words you're looking for. You're going to map that passage out into specific pieces, and then depending on your answer choices, you'll be able to know for sure what they're looking to assess. And remember that you're trying to meet what they're assessing. This is different than interpreting it into your own words. So the core strategy, active passage mapping. Don't read everything equally. I did not say don't read everything. I said don't read everything equally. You want to focus on structure, not details, and you want to quickly build a map of the passage as you go. So this does not mean that you're rewriting the passage. It means you're identifying what parts of the passage or what sentence represents a specific area. So this is how we're going to map it out. So mapping, how to map a passage. Paragraph 1, we're going to look for the main topic and the author's stance or the author's point of view. Paragraph 2, we're looking for the new idea or their evidence. What are they giving you to support it? Paragraph 3, we're looking for a counter argument or a contrast. Paragraph 4, we're looking for the wrap up or the conclusion. So what you really want out of all of that is the main idea, the evidence, an opposing view, and a conclusion. And this should be mapped in 2 to 3 words each, maximum. This is just point form, boom, here we go, here it is. I would recommend using a highlighter initially as you kind of get good at it. And you don't need to be mapping out passages and looking at answer choices yet. You can just be practicing the skill of mapping out the passage. Example. So here's a passage excerpt. Some scholars argue that the Constitution is a living document adapted to new contexts. Others insist it must be interpreted based on original intent. So your notes would be paragraph, and I would be even shorter. I wouldn't do I would just do a P. Paragraph 1, living document adaptation. Paragraph 2, original intent view. Why this saves you time? You don't need to reread the whole passage. 2, you know where to find the answers. And 3, your focus stays on the structure and not distractions. Do you see how straightforward and simple that is? So when you're skimming, your eyes should land on certain types of words. So we want to be identifying contrast words. However, but, although, yet. So these are words that kind of trigger us to say, oh, here comes the alternative. Here comes something that the author is suggesting is the conflict. You want to look for cause and effect words such as because, therefore, thus, and since. And I would again say underline them, circle them, highlight them. Option signals clearly, unfortunate, surprisingly, it is important. So these are, again, important identifiers that something is there, something's coming. Names, dates, and theories. So proper nouns or technical terms often tested in detailed questions. And shifts in tone. So when your author switches the tone over, moving from neutral to critical or from background to argumentative. So extra tools, practice with a timer, 8 minutes per passage, 8 to 9 minutes. Skim answer choices for key words before reading. Use your map to jump directly to the relevant paragraph. How to skim. Don't read every word. Instead, let your eyes bounce down the page, stopping on these signal words. Highlight or underline only what matters, author's viewpoint, author's shift, evidence, and markers. Aim for 8 minutes per passage. This forces you to avoid perfectionism. So, a margin note examples, let's say the paragraph looks like this. Some researchers argue climate policy should prioritize adaptation to warming. However, others emphasize migration, insisting that reducing emissions is the only substantial path forward. So your skim notes should be adaptation focus, contrast migration, author sides with, next slides, depending what you believe based on the rest of the paragraph. Okay? Remember, you're training your brain to see structure instead of drowning in the details. Most LSAT questions ask about relationships, main point, or the author's stance or position, not random details. If a detail is tested, your keywords in the notes will tell you exactly where to go back to find that. This is something I really think the mapping is about practicing and getting good at it through consistency. So by mapping out each day one um, argument and mapping it through, that probably will get you trained up on, I think that should get you trained up. If you did that consistently once or twice a day, that will get it down to a bit of an art for you. Okay, tip tool strategy. Mastering reading comp is about structure, not speed. Use passage maps to save time and boost accuracy. Okay, so for full strategies and weekly practice, check out my LSAT course, link in the description. If this tip helped you, I'd love for you to join me for more. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next LSAT strategy, and check out the free study notes and resources that I've put together for you, links in the description. Thanks for joining us.